So as you can gather from the title, this is a clock I made a long time ago. Turn that volume down on that. Right, try that again. So I made this quite a long time ago. I know it's not the best carving, but I don't care. I made this with my own hands, and I've not made many pieces. But I just feel it's time to have a bit of a change with it. So I had this frame made for it, but it's all cracked and split. Now I might try and mend that and do something with it, or I might just... I think I have a box frame. I don't know if it's big enough. You know, the ones with the glass on? And I thought maybe if it is big enough, I could put it in there and put some little lights around inside. But my main aim today is to clean this up, remove the finish off it if I can, as much as I can, and try and add a little bit of colour to it. So that's what I'm going to do. But I just reminded myself I was also trying to do something a second ago. Anyway, I'm going to start with taking it out of here. So yeah, it was handmade, this for the clock, but it's a bit too thick really for these, and it's bent them over time, and it's always kind of been a bit hit and miss. But there's the back of it. Move the frame. So when it comes to dusting these, they're not the easiest to keep clean, and when there's nothing over them, when you dust it, you get bits of fluff off your duster sticking on it. So I can see it's much shinier at the edges where it's been covered. So I thought for now I'm just going to use a soft brush and just give it a tweak. So I've just ordered a new pot movement for it. Nothing special, just something to get it working again. So I have myself a little bowl here. Use a bit of Deglazer. So I tend to use Fiebings because the who I used to use, I have some interesting supplies. £3.95. Now it's not really as such for this, but I'd be quite happy to just use a little bit of that, a few drops of that in a bit of water just to give it a clean. But I don't really need to do that with this because I'm not as such conditioning it at this stage. I'll be doing that after. I don't want to put things on it just to take them off again. That would be a bit pointless. So a bit of Deglazer and see what it'll do. Oh, look at that, the colour's straight off the numbers. That's good. That's good, that. Yes. So this would have been Fiebing's Antique, most likely, that I used on this. And I do have some more. You can see it's all coming off. I'm not expecting it to go back to how it was, not at all. But once that's done all over, you can tell already it's going to be a lot brighter. Now, them numbers are going kind of reddish, and I'm funnily enough, I was thinking of doing them a reddish colour. And I'm wondering now if at some point I started off with them being burgundy and then I've gone over them with black. So maybe I have given it a little revamp at one point. Now I'm saying it, I think I did. I vaguely remember painting the numbers again. So this just takes all the finish off. It takes any wax off, grease, any finish, or at least some finishes. I don't think it'll take off every finish. But it certainly does take off some. And you can see how much better that's looking already, just like that. quite a decent thickness of leather, this. Certainly gone up since I bought this piece. At this stage, I'm just going to use a couple of cotton pads and wipe some of that off. Oh, that was the plan anyway. Maybe not the best plan. As long as it's wet, that's okay. Right, that's alright then. We'll come up with that. I just could tell it was going a bit gunky. Just moving it round rather than lifting it off. So let's see what can lift off it, but as well as just moving it round. Oh, look how much better that's looking already. Just taking that old finish off. So around here, there's quite a bit of uneven backgrounding, and there's a bit here that I don't like. A bit here. You know, just a few lines, and I'm going to see if I can just not so much redo it, but where the areas are just a little bit higher in a few places, just try and knock it down a little. There's a little bit here, just to smooth it out a little bit, because when the light hits a certain way, you can just see like a line that's raised. So I'll have a go at that. Right, let's have another of them. I thought puppy pads would be a good idea. Because I'm forever spilling things. Well, not spilling them so much, knocking them over. Anyway, it's just a safeguard, that's all. To try and not cover my green boots in anything that I'm wearing. And just out of I wouldn't say explanation, everybody has their own way of doing things. I've not done this for a long time properly, and there could be things I'm not aware of, you know, supplies. So if I seem a little bit like I'm not knowing what I'm doing, it's not that I don't know what I'm doing, it's that I've kind of got to find my feet again, and I'm doing it my way. And that kind of is where I'm at. But if anybody has any advice that I can take or leave, you feel free to give it. So one of the things that I noticed with it, not that it matters, is I've not edged it. You know, with the edger, you know, just to trim off that sharp edge of the leather. I don't think it matters really, in that if it's in a frame, it's not seen anyway. And I think at this stage, maybe isn't worth doing that. But if this does flatten down a little better in places, so mainly here I can see some lines that way and then some lines here, and then I can see like a distinct separation in between. So I just want to smooth that out a little if I can. the very same tool that it was originally done with, and these are actually proper Tandy leather tools made in the USA. This is number A104. I think these are about £30 now if you find them on auction sites. To get hold of the originals, very expensive, and I do have quite a lot actually. And I did buy some more recently, and they're just very disappointing. I didn't even bother trying to carve with them. And it seems ones that are on eBay that are originals are either silly money or they're damaged to a degree and aren't very good. So that's still coming off yet. But that looks so much better. I'm quite happy how that's coming up. You know, I used to be able to sit doing this for about 16, 17 hours at a time. I would really enjoy it, and it's not something that I ever was able to fully get into. And then I wanted to do it some years ago again, but I was having problems with double vision. And then I found out that actually the reason I still had issues with my vision is because I'd been given the wrong glasses, but I thought it were me, so I just stopped wearing them, and that was that. So I wasn't able to do things like this then. So now got one of these prism things on my glasses just so it brings in the image properly to both eyes, and I see it single instead of double. So that's why now and not then. I think this might be my last one on it. Probably over wetted it a little bit there, really. But I don't think it matters too much at this stage. So my plan is I want to give it a bit of colour. I don't want to use acrylic on it as such, although I might do for the numbers. In fact, I might do actually. I have got some Angelus acrylic leather paints, metallic, and I've clearly had burgundy letters and I've had them black, and I'm just wondering whether maybe to go with something like rose gold. A metallic rose gold might look nice. So that now I think is about as much as coming off there. You can see now it's not lifting anything off the same. And anywhere it is, I think it's just from where this antiquing is in the background more. So you have a couple of areas that I'm looking at now and I'm thinking I should have used this background tool here, like I have here, but I've not done because it's part of the other background, but I do think it would have looked better there. And I'm just going to give that a little tap on my marble. I'm just trying to find my other hammer. I've got to hide hammers, and the other one's a little bit lightweight compared with this one. And I thought I already had it out. I've not really used it that one. Not in there. Not in there. Not in there. Okay, don't really know where that's gone. Oh, no. That's okay. Right. I'll just have to try that, but I'm just going to move that onto my marble over here a second, just have a see if it actually does do what I'm hoping it does on the old leather. I don't know if you can tell, but I have just tooled that there, and actually I do think it looks better. So while it's still damp, it's probably not what most people do. However, not most people. So this piece of marble, I don't know how heavy it is, this, but I got it when I was about 16 or 17 from a local graveyard. Not off a grave. I wouldn't do that. Me and my sister went to the graveyard looking for bits of marble, and we found what we needed. I'm just looking for something I can put under here now. That'll do. Toilet roll. Okay, so normally you would wet your leather, and while I'm inclined to, I don't really want to put water on it, because if I do, it's not going to evaporate like the Deglazer does. So no doubt rather unconventional, but I'm just going to do a little more deglazer on the little areas that I just want to touch up. Yeah, it is just neatening it up a little bit, that. I do prefer it, so I'm going to do that. Like that bit there, that to me looks like I should have done that originally. I mean, I'm not particularly bothered about it. I'm not doing it because I'm not happy with it or anything. I'm actually doing it just to make the video to show you guys a little bit of this kind of thing. I have no doubt you'll have people that wouldn't want to show you what they're doing because they don't want people to steal their ideas or whatever, but I like watching people do things, so if somebody else likes watching me do something, then fair dues. I don't like being watched doing things, but I'm trying to achieve something and I can't achieve something if I don't be seen. I'm happy with that. It's not a large task to do. Bit there. I can see why I didn't do them initially, because I was using this flower tool for the background and it wouldn't fit in that space. But just looking at it now, it just seems to me like this will just give it a little bit more depth around the leaves. And not only that, because I want to colour the leaves, it'll probably also help stop the dye from running onto these areas and soaking in like it might do otherwise. Just defining those edges a little bit better. This feels quite heavy. I can't remember what weight it is. I know the other one it's a little smaller. So my sister used to also do things. Actually, for a while we both did things together when we both lived at home. Making belts, different things, you know. And I recently bought some more things, some more tools, this being one of them. And then I ended up buying my sister's old supplies off her. So I ended up with her hide hammer, which is good because I had an old wooden one and it was really past its very, very best. I would have got it when I was 17 and it was getting to the point that when I used it, bits of wood were just flaking off it. So that had to go anyway. So I thought, right, I'm going to have a nice hide one. They've got a bit more weight to them than the wooden ones, so a bit less effort. But as good an effect. I've missed this bit again over here. Yeah, I prefer that, definitely. Do a bit here now on this corner. That's quite dark in there. Try and get a bit of that out. Same on that bit, actually. So yeah, me and my sister both went to the graveyard. We got these pieces of marble each. I guess they have groundsmen. I mean, I'm going back nearly 40 years ago, 37 years ago, maybe thereabouts. And it looked like they were just bits of marble that had, you know, when graves get damaged and people replace them, and it just got thrown to one side under the shrubs and things. So I carried this piece probably a mile and a half, 2 miles, I'm not too sure, all the way home. The things you do, and it is a fair weight. But it's been a brilliant piece of marble, and it gives you something solid behind your leather. If you were just doing that on your wooden table, you're not going to get a good effect because it's just going to bounce about. I think I've gone a bit overboard there. If you look, you can just see it's giving it that bit more definition now. If you look here, it's not really got good definition around this acorn. But once you get that, and flatten that down a little more. So you've still got the little stem of the acorn here, but that's now got more definition. And I'm just, no, I'm going to leave that as is. I don't want to do it too heavy as it's coming out onto this, you see, so I've still got to watch I don't overdo it, but we'll go on to this bit here now. Normally, if you was wetting that with a bit of water, you would do so and just leave it be for a moment. I'm kind of wetting it and working because of what I'm using. It's giving it moisture, but it's evaporating as well. So as soon as it goes on, it starts evaporating, where water doesn't the same. So I'm trying to work quickly. Again, I know, not really conventional to use your deglazer as a wetting agent on your leather, but you know, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. If it doesn't, then you learn something else that's possible, don't you? Instead of having limiting beliefs about you have to have certain things to do certain things and nothing else can be done or used. I think that's half of the problem with the world these days, is somebody tells you can't do something and you think you can't do it because somebody else said so. Or you'll have an idea and you might tell somebody about it and they'll say, oh, there's no point you doing that. My dad's dog's uncle's mate's owners had a go and it didn't work, so there's no point you trying because they couldn't make it work, so there's no chance you will because you're not capable, right? But no, you can't spend your life like that, but people do. And people who put people off like that, they ought to take a look at themselves and wonder why so many people don't contribute to society, and then they complain about it, putting them down and putting their ideas down instead of encouragement and support. So I'm, as my mate Jim says, I'm doing it my way. And that doesn't mean I'm not open to suggestion or information or recommendations, a bit of advice. But I am headstrong and I like doing things my own way. If I mess up, it's on me. That's coming up quite even as well, which I'm glad of. It's been a long time since I've used these tools properly. I have had a practice on something else which I could also continue on. Obviously not right now, but just a practice piece for carving an old wallet. You could get these like a plastic like hard but flexible, and it has a little line in it and a pattern, and you wet your leather, you put your thing over your leather, hold it in place, and then you use like your bone folder, rub it on, and it puts the marking on into your leather for your pattern that you're going to carve. And they're okay, but I don't really think many people use leather wallets like that. I think people like a less bulky option in the pocket. But I have made wallets, not many. Made my ex-father-in-law one many years ago. What I used to mostly do was use this hobby as a way of gifting things to people when I didn't have a great deal of money to buy gifts for people. Because I think the most valuable commodity you can give people is your time. So if I give you my time, it should say something to you. And I've given my time to people and they just don't appreciate it at times. So I walk away. You have to value yourselves, people. Have a value on your time. Have a value on your abilities. have confidence in what you do, and don't let anybody tell you that what you're doing is wrong, in that you're not going to make it, you'll fail, you won't succeed. Don't let anybody tell you that, because too many people are happy to do that, and it's wrong. I don't like going out much, meeting people. I like my own space. I like people, but I don't like lots of people. I don't mean there's lots of people I don't like. I wouldn't make a judgment like that on people that I don't know. I can try to get to know people and find out that they're not who I think they are. And I can decide that they're not for me. But I do like to have my own space. I'd rather have, like, you know, just a very few people that I know I can trust than lots of people who you find actually that they're just not who you think they are. And I've found that a lot over my lifetime. So I've just started to be a little bit more selective, which has left me with me and my cats. No, like, people think that if you don't have a lot of friends, you've got a problem. Oh, they don't like going out much, they're depressed. No, it's a choice. If somebody's happy to spend their own time doing their own thing, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. It means they're choosing where they put their energy. I've just done quite a big bit there that looks like I just totally missed it in real time, where I should have done it. Not even where I've where I've had a choice and decided not to. It just should have been done. So it's done now. It is quite, I wouldn't say dry. I mean, it is dry, obviously. It's not wet, but and it will condition after, but I need to do the things I'm doing at it before I start putting conditioner on it and that. But that looks miles better. So when I put the antique on this again later, where I've just tooled here, it will darken up, so it will define these leaves better. And I have gone all around that edge now. Maybe I should just do a little bit here. Just going to put a little bit on that. A little bit here. Yeah, that's better. And a little bit in here. And then I've about done it, I think, on that part. Okay. So now it's these areas that I've mentioned. They're not mega bad, but I can just see them and I find them a little bit. That's better. It's just, it stays a little raised, and then when the light catches it, it just kind of highlights it, you know, which you don't really want. And it might not do a great deal, but if it just smooths it out a little bit. I know it's probably not the best viewing for you, because you can't really see what I'm doing, and I'm no photographer. I'm no real skills in that department, and it's not really something I enjoy or do. My thing is doing this, and I know people might go, well, you'll do better if you edit your video or do this at it, do that at it, but if I'm forced to do things I don't enjoy just to make somebody else happy, to me that's people pleasing. And that doesn't mean I won't do something that makes somebody happy. It just means I'm doing my thing, and hopefully there will be people that will make happy, because my thing will be the thing that they need or would like. And so that's the thing with what I'm doing. Yeah. That's better. I've not even wet this bit, but it's doing what I need it to do, and so that's okay. I'm not doing much at it. I think I'm okay with that. I only brought the one tool out because I knew it'd be the only one I needed. Oh, it's getting a little bit chilly again now. The sun's been shining in for a while and it warmed up a little. So I opened the door and now I'm getting chilly, and I might have to put some layers back on again. Keep warm. Hello, cat. Right, so my next task then. Okay, I did think it might come a bit lighter. Maybe it will. Let's have a see. The only reason I'm thinking, the lighter it goes, the more the colour will show. Now, when I put colour on it, particularly on these leaves, what my intention is to give it a hint of colour. I'm not trying to make it to the point where, you know, it really stands out massively. I just want to give them a hint of green. I want to give the acorns like a chestnutty kind of colour, maybe a reddish brown. Bringing a bit more. Do the numbers again. Put some conditioning on, and well, I'll be antiquing it again. But so what the plan is, right, is do myself a mix of colour. So the green I've got, I intended to be like a olive green. Well, when I say I intended to be an olive green, no, that's not strictly true. I got this one called Spice, and in the booklet in the shop, it looked more of an olive green. But I put it on this piece of leather. Where have I put it? Where have it gone? Ah, there it is. So I put it on this piece of leather thinking it was going to look a bit olive green, but it looks more like a chocolate. And I've got this green, which is what I used on my boots, which you've probably seen. Even if you've not watched my other video, you can sort of see at the beginning of the video. And so my plan is to mix a bit of green, a bit of spice, and to thin that down with a little rubbing alcohol. So I really don't want it to be strong in colour. I'm also using some makeup brushes, and I don't know if the colour on the tips of them might run a little, so I'll just dip it in that deglazer. No, that seems okay. Alright then. Okay, come up with that. So I'm going to put a bit of dye into here, and I need to work out the colour. So yeah, very pale green mostly, so it's like a hint of green, but enough for it to show. And that means diluting it as well as putting colour in. That rubbing alcohol isn't what I want. Okay, I have a bigger, better one somewhere. But where did I put it? I've had the other one in my hand in the last couple of days. And it's a bigger bottle, it's a litre bottle, and it's 99%. So where has it gone? That's the question. I don't think the other one was enough. I think one of the goblins have eaten it. Hello, Eric. Right. I don't know where that's gone. That's kind of a bit frustrating because it was down here. And I've clearly put it in a safe place. Which was clearly too safe. And now I need it. I have no clue where I've put it. Oh. Could have put it in the cupboard. No, not in the cupboard. I think I'm just going to have to okay, alright, so apparently using 70% is okay and it'll actually dry slower, which might be more beneficial, so we'll give that a go then. So I don't know kind of yet how much of each one of these I'm going to be putting in, or how much rubbing alcohol. And I don't know whether there's going to be any problem mixing the two different brands of dyes, but we'll find out, won't we? So I'm thinking I'll try just 2 drops of the green. I kind of need to remember that, and I need to also watch what I'm doing or I'll be splashing paint where I don't want it. Right. I don't want to put a lot in because I don't want to end up using a lot of dye just to do a very dilute mix. So you can see now that looks like a greenish colour even in the lid. Now I've put 2 drops of the green. I think I'm just going to put 1 drop of that one in. So that's 2 drops of green, 1 drop of spice. I want it green, but I don't want it as green as what that green is. And then that I believe will be probably not sufficient actually, because it's going to soak in, and it's not expensive in that sense, this alcohol. So we'll try that. Should be enough rubbing alcohol in there. It still looks very green. What can I mix it with? I'm going to use an old tool. And I think that is still going to be really quite dark, and it's too green. Way too green for what I want. Right, so I think I want it more towards the spice colour. So that's now 2 drops of each. I'm going to put another 2 drops of the spice in the green. So it's 4 spice, 2 green. I think that is looking more the colour I want. Yeah, definitely. Maybe still a bit too concentrated. So I am going to finish filling that pot up. Because I can always add extra layers if I want it a little bit more darker. So we'll see how that goes on there. Don't know, that's still greener than I want really. I think we're going to go with more spice. So we've put 4 spice, 2 green, another 2 spice. So that's 6 spice, 2 green. I'm not sure those 2 dyes are properly mixing, or whether it's that rubbing alcohol. But we'll have a go at putting some on this piece of leather I've got here. Just put the lids back on my dye. And we'll just have a see. That actually might not be too bad. That's, I think actually, I might put more dye in that now. What dregs have we got left in the green? But it has got a hint of green, hasn't it? You can see that, a greenish brown, which is what I wanted. I don't want it to be very, very green. So when it dries, it's not going to be in your face. It's going to be quite... it's gonna be, it should be distinct. I hope it looks distinct from the rest. I might find I've got to mix a bit more colour with it after. But basically, I just want to give it that little bit of a colour without making it to the point where it just looks wrong, you know, too much. So now I'm going to be basically painting all these leaves with this green. And I'm tempted to leave the centre bit lighter, because the vein would be different anyway on most leaves. It's not a massive change, is it? I think I will go all the way around it first and paint them all with this. By the time I get round, it should dry some. And then we can see whether it needs another drop of the green and more dye, more layer adding. I could just keep adding one drop in the mixture and then go around again until I'm happy with it. I look like some mad professor today. I've not brushed my hair. I've had it down overnight because I had it down yesterday, so it's all everywhere. I just noticed you can see all my flipping frazzly hairs sticking out in camera. I don't care. It's not an essential thing for doing your crafting. I'm just looking at my iPad. I have my iPad set up as well with the video playing, so I can look at it on there as well, and I can see what others can see. It sometimes makes it a little bit better to know that what you can see is worth seeing or not. But looking at it, yeah, I'm going to be putting another drop of dye in there or two. I think I've done it a little bit too thin, but I'm not worried. It's not a problem. I might even have to mix some more when I've gone round. I don't know how much it'll use doing this. I'm almost tempted to use the spice to paint the lower part of the acorns, because they are quite a chocolatey brownish colour anyway, those. I can see like a green tinge. It is doing what I want. If I get all the way around and I've got half a thing of paint left and I give it a second coat, I think that might be enough for the effect I'm trying to achieve, which is a hint of colour, not some mass colour change. I wanted it to be subtle, but noticeable. And looking at how much I've got left, I'd say there will be enough to do that second coat. just found a little bit of stuff off the cotton ball, cotton pad even, which we don't want on. As you know, I've got intention of doing things with shoes, so I've had another pair delivered today. Good bargain. Look Foley. In a tan, which means I can colour them. This bit doesn't want to come away. So another thing I used to make was dog collars. Mainly for my own dog, because I had English Bull Terriers. And I'd make them nice collars with little silver cabochon things on and try and give them a little bit of character and make them a little bit different. And I did one with pike studs in for a guy who had a pup off myself and my ex-husband when we bred the dogs. I mean, again, this is going back a long time. And I quite like making the dog collars. I did have a go at doing a harness, and that's all about measuring and shape and angles, and it's not really for me, that. And to be honest, people don't really want to pay for such things. Not for prices. Well, not in my experience, anyway. And you've got to give your craft a value. You can't just do things for nothing. It takes your sweat equity, your time, your focus, your most valuable commodities, as well as your skill. And we need to keep such skills. They're all disappearing because people just don't bother with things anymore. They just want mass marketed shit. and people don't have pride in the work. Some do, of course, yeah. So, an example, I went to a cobbler's, didn't get very good results. I thought I had, but then after a conversation with another cobbler, I realised actually I hadn't had a very good resole of my shoe. So they've gone back. I'd say I'm undecided on if to put another coat on or not. I think really I need to let that dry and then decide whether to put another coat of that colour on. So I think I'm going to go with this spice and do those little acorns like I said. So I think the best option for me is to put a little bit in the lid. Move my bottle out of the way. Right, let's have a see how this goes down. So just on a little bit of acorn, the bit the acorn sits in. I have washed my brush, by the way. Yeah, put a little bit more on that one. think that does a little bit better for it. A bit more depth. I decided I'm going to do those bits as well in the spice because I decided them being lighter doesn't quite look right for me. So I'm just giving the... I think also because it looks more like a branch here, and so I just think it looks better with a bit darker on it than the leaf. It's only a fraction anyway once it dries. Bit of contrast more than anything. I quite like how that's looking. It really is only a hint of colour. I'm tempted to give that eagle a bit of white, but I think it'd look a bit too. I don't know what the word is for it. I just don't think it'd look right. And I'm not entirely sure why. I know it's a bit cockeyed for you, but there you go. I think I'm going to leave that at that. shake well. Did she shake it well? No, she didn't. But there you go. So I want to put colour on the numbers. And as I mentioned, I've debated an acrylic, metallic, rose gold, copper. I think copper might look quite nice on there. There's also bronze, but I don't think that will stand out the same. Gold, 18 karat gold, pearlescent purple. Do you see what I'm thinking? Rose gold. Or metallic copper. Part of me says do them a solid colour again, but I've done them burgundy, I've done them black, and they don't really stand out. And when you're sat at a distance, it's not really doing it. I mean, I could go with a pearlescent red, but again, I don't think that'll look right. I could go with silver, but I don't think that'll look right either. Pewter, bit darker again, and then just normal metallic silver again. But I think that's like going to be like putting white on. So I think it needs to be one of those. 4. And I don't think that one's right. I think that one would be more subtle once the antique finish goes on. Obviously that'd be lighter, but I think after an antique goes on top of that, I don't think that's going to look so good. So I think it's one of those two. I think I'm going to go with the rose gold. Something tells me copper, but I like the hint of gold in that, and the copper's not got the hint of gold, whereas the rose gold is like the copper with a hint of gold. So I do also have a standard set. But again, it's back to probably a choice of colours I don't really want. So I'm just using a set of cheapy makeup brushes actually for this. Purely because all my paintbrushes are packed away in big boxes, and I'd have about 15 big boxes to go through to find them. And I'm not really... I didn't set up today to spend my time going through boxes. I wanted to do something actually getting somewhere. Oh, I also need to do the acorns. Right, leather dye. I'm going to go with the burgundy for the acorns. Because they are a bit of a reddish colour at times. I know they're not exactly burgundy. But I think that'll just give it a nice little bit of a colour that does stand out a little bit more than the rest. And of course this will darken up as well once it gets the antique finish on. This burgundy colour, it will go darker. It'll be more muted when it's... That'll do for that. So this is an old leather dye, this. A local saddlery used to do their own, and from what I understand they're long gone. Or maybe not long gone, not too sure, but they're definitely gone. So there's no point in mentioning that brand. However, this other thing I have that I didn't show before, I don't think that'll exist anymore. And I paid £3.95 for that. And it's like it does get soapy. I actually used it on a pair of shoes the other day, trying to clean the soles up a bit just to see whether it did or not, and it did alright, like, but didn't really achieve what I'd thought it might. So these numbers are all probably going to want doing twice. At least twice. Oh, I forget these have got little brushes on. But I find with things like this, they might have a little brush on, but they're very rarely suitable for anything to do with leatherwork, because you need a bit of a finer brush, really. Not sure what I make of that. Especially the bit that went where I didn't want it. I know it's my clumsiness and that, but that'll cover anyway where it's just bled a little. But I'm not really keen on using acrylics. I mean, they're alright if you want a solid colour on something. But they really can bleed a lot. And it's not like I've put any water with it or anything. But also, you know, I'm out of practice, so I have to get used to using the paints, haven't I? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the paints. Quite like the paints, I like the colours. Yeah, that's a better way of doing it. Going from near the centre, just brushing outwards. Don't mind me having a little giggle. Just getting carried away thinking about some things as you do. Number 2 is getting worse and worse instead of improving. that is probably about as good as I'm going to get tonight. So the reason I've done this clock, also not just to do the video, was because I wanted to kind of have a bit of a practice again. I soon pick things back up, so... And I have done bits and bats in between. I've designed a bag I want to make, which I designed over a year ago. I bought all the stuff for doing it. And then things just kind of went a bit sideways and I just couldn't give it the time. So I don't know what you think of that so far. Trying to put it straight there. I'm not impressed with the number 2s, or that number 5 really. And I don't know if I'm going to really be able to do much of anything to clean those up any. So, I'm sure much of it will cover once the antique finish goes in. But this number 2 is the worst. It's always a bit challenging when you're trying to paint something like that. But right, I'm showing you the crap bits as well. You know, you get a lot of videos and they just show you the perfect bits. And well, life isn't perfect, is it? So now I'm going to let that dry. And the next task is going to be oh, yes. That's going to be the next job. I can see that you're not getting a very good view of that. Angelus eye gloss 4-coat scratch resistant urethane clear coat. So that bit is what's going on the leaves, and after that it's going to be antique leather stain, which you put it on it and then you let it soak in, have a dry, and then you buff it all off. So it's where these gaps are darker, that's what has been on it before, and that's why it's like it is. So this stuff find a little brush, an appropriate brush. So that'll keep the green colour in. I decided I'm not going to paint any more green over there. I think it's fine as it is, you know. And I can't use that yet. I need to let the bubbles come out of that first. Let it stand for a minute after I've given it a shake. I mean, really, I need to paint over anything that I've put a bit of colour on, don't I, you know? But mainly those leaves. I'm not bothered if the other bits darken up some. No, I'm just putting it on the leaves. Oh, it's so cold. The thing with this, if you don't let the bubbles kind of disperse, when you start brushing it on, you get all the little bubbles going in the cracks and they'll set in there. That seems dry now, that's fine. So I'm just going to give it a little brush, because I think there's still a few little fibres on it just from using the cotton pad, which is okay because it'll come off. Just gets anything loose off, that's all. And then when we do this, I think again, pipette. Get some from the bottom. And it's not going to be full of the bubbles at the bottom like it is at the top. Put it out the way, then I don't knock it over. My brush, yeah, that was my brush. So put that back there, just gives it a bit of support. Right, I think throw in the brush now. My hands are not working the same night. I have a cup with a lid and it has a little hole. It helps keep my brews hot while I'm in here. So I sound like a pig having a drink. Right. Let's do this. So with this, it's like a polyurethane gloss. And what that'll do, that'll stop any of the antique from soaking into the coloured bits that I've just done. Any that I put this on, that is. It'll still go in these little cracks and the pattern, the tooling, but it won't allow the antique to soak into these flat areas, you see. So it keeps the colour, which I've painstakingly put on the green, as green. I almost feel like this should be a bit thinner. I don't know if it's just, again, me getting used to a different one than what I remember using. Or maybe I'm just putting it on too much in one go and spreading it too slowly. So let's move a little bit quicker. Just debating whether to colour over those, go over the acorns, but it'll keep them really red, and I'm not sure that's the right move for them. Time to plug in the charger. So that's that done anyway. Got to let that dry now, which won't be too long. I know it's a long video. Maybe I should speed it up, I don't know, but I don't really know how to. This is what I mean about me not doing video editing. It doesn't mean I won't learn at some point or make an effort, but right now it's not happening. There we go, that's that back on charge. I'm just going to put that near my heater for a moment just to let it help a little, just for a minute. I mean, that is effectively dry. There's nothing on it that's not dry. So that's good. Right, I think I'm going to use a microfiber cloth. Can't decide where to put things. Right. Okay. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a with that first. think the best option with this is going to be these cotton pads. Now, I think I'm actually going to go with this trick. So this goes into all the little nooks and crannies. So that's that on. I thought I had a pack of wipes. Maybe not. Okay. Do something. I think I'm going to put a bit in the lid. and just dab it in a few places where I can see it's not gone in too well. Just trying to make sure it's gone in some of these little spaces that it's a bit awkward sometimes to get into. So once this is dried, then you buff it all off, and it remains in all the little gaps to some degree anyway. Obviously the smoother the area, the less it holds, and obviously where I've painted on the leaves with the clear polyurethane varnish, that's not going to stay on there the same. So really now it's just a case of waiting for that to dry and then buff it right up, and that will basically be it done, minus a frame. I mean, I can put it back in its little frame for now until I decide what to do with that frame part, that idea of putting it in a box frame with some little lights or something. I'm undecided yet. That looks more even now. Bit better. That's that done. So you can buff it up with a cloth. And then once it's dried off, you can actually get a wet sponge and do it again, which will take more off the smoother areas again. So it kind of depends on what effect you want. But for me now, that's probably about done. I've a few brushes there that I've used. I want to clean. Not bad, them little makeup brushes. So what they are. Get rid of these. So you can see that looks really quite dark now. I'll give it a little bit longer yet. I'm going to start putting a few of these bits away that I'm not going to need now. I have no idea what time it is. Let's have a look. Oh, past cat feeding time. Right, let's get these put away from here. Got some canola wax here, which I intend putting some on after. But I think all my other supplies can go back in here now. I don't need them for now. I don't need the dyes. Don't need them. Don't need the coating. Deglazer. I think I will perhaps put some beeswax on that though. And edge it. Just let a dye fall over and start leaking. And that's not a dye that I've actually used today, so that's not too good. I know you want to be keeping dyes upright. I'm a little limited with my storage solutions at the minute. And a few of them have fallen over before now, but none of them had leaked before, so that's clearly something I'm going to have to watch out for. There, you can see it shifting now. I think I'm going to go and get myself a different cloth and a damp cloth. I should be back very, very soon. Okay. So it does dry and it does really quite take some rubbing, which is why it suggests a damp cloth, which is okay, but you have to look if you don't take too much off as well. And while it will buff, I think I put a little bit much on really. But I particularly want these leaves to be whiter like they're meant to be. Hello, Eric. Hello, boy. Right. Bit on the wings. I very almost used the varnish on the eagle as well. Maybe I should have. So now I've given the leaves a wipe and gotten more off of that bit, I'm going to carry on with the cloth and wipe my hands a bit with it. Just give that a minute to have another dry. I had a little plastic bag with some wax in, and that seems to have vanished as well now. I'm good at losing things. Alright, well, that's okay, never mind. So you'll see now this will start getting more of a shine. You can see them leaves are getting brighter, or I would imagine you can. I think I'd probably find it easier with my marble facing that way at the minute, going in that direction, but that way. So I've ordered a new clock movement, and actually I did get one that's going to have a selection of coloured hands, and I did get some gold ones in it, and I might put them on to go with the numbers. Well, I think that's quite a bit darker than the original was. The leaves don't look, how can I put it? They are green, I can see the green, especially here. I can see it definitely. I can see the red and the brown and the acorns. It's giving me pain, this. I've got health conditions that give me a bit of grief. And this is going to give me grief. No, I'm later, but I'll worry about that later. I'm going to have another little wipe on this darker area. I didn't want it quite that dark. Not on that bit anyway. That was never meant to be very dark. I like some darkness to show up the pattern, but not so that everything's just getting swamped. Make sure I don't get none of that green on there. Right, that's mostly done. So, finishing touch. Carnauba wax. Carnauba wax is a liquid and very, very thin. Doesn't always come in a jar, but this bit does. Mine, it had been put in the jar. Carnauba wax, as you can see, it's a liquid. And it's quite nice, this. It just soaks in to the surface. And it gives a really nice shine. Just put it all around. Get it all over. And just keep going with that. It's all got a coating on. And then a final buff. And Carnauba wax, actually, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same compound like in the final version, but it's actually used in, if you look, I think it's Skittles and things like that. They say they have Carnauba wax. So it may be the same stuff. I don't really know. Just shows you the crap we eat though. Like, this video is a really long video. I'm aware that people are not going to sit there and watch a whole video. And I'm aware I could speed it up and things like that, but it's okay speeding a video up. But if you're watching a video because you want to learn something that's being done and then it's been sped up, it's a little bit harder to do that. And I know I can just speed up little bits here and there, but honestly, I've not got the inclination. Really not. I've got too much to do, too little energy to do it, so that'll do for that. So again, we're going to let that dry now. Right. Let's give this frame a wipe. I'm going to put it back in its frame for now. Because it's better than it just being in nothing, I think, really. So I might do a repair job on this frame. It's been put together and then it's been filled at the creases. It was actually made specially for the clock. But it's got movement. When I do that, it's really not good, so I might try and do a fix on it. And see if it will. So it looks a little bit dull now while that Canova wax is drying. Once it's like soaked in, it really does look quite dull. And then when you give it a good buff up, you start getting the proper finish. And it's like a conditioner as well, Canova wax. So it's got more than one benefit. I may get tempted to also put some something on it, a neutral shoe cream or something like that that's better for conditioning, or something along them lines. I'm just trying to keep to these edges at the minute while the other parts dry. The leaves I can go over because they've got that varnish on anyway, and I don't intend much staying over the top of them. There's something called atom wax, Fiebings. I forget the full name of it that I used to use, and I intend to get again. just love that. I love the smell of it as well. I don't know if it still smells the same, but that's good stuff. So I think that is pretty much that for the clock. That edging, I think I'm going to keep it as a sharpish edge on it, because with it going in a frame, maybe it might be better that way anyway. But let's move some of this. So the only one of them I'll be able to reuse is the one I used on the alcohol. The rest will be going in the bin. Yeah, that's lightened up some now. So, of course, it'll be tomorrow before the clock movement goes in it. I don't know how different that's going to look, but I think it looks a bit funny because of the light shining. Try and do it without the light showing so much. Oh, that looks even worse now. It's not showing up very well on the video at all. Hopefully it'll show better on a photo. I think with all the reflections and that, it's difficult to get a good look. Just try and find the photo from earlier. So make of it what you will. Does it look better? Does it look worse? I can't decide. It feels better. So yeah, it's different. It's had a change. It's shinier. But I don't think that's showing up very good on the video at all. But that's the task completed for today. So I hope you've enjoyed it if you watch it. And on that note, I'm going to end the video.